what's going on, everybody? Clearly, or somebody else in the video, this is our executive producer, Bill.
Howdy.
Brandon Keaton, president, vice president, Dylan, obviously. So basically, this video, he's going to do most of the talking because it was basically his idea.
Yeah.
So, if you want to go ahead, start off.
Well, you want to address what we're talking about first because it is very
The
important
riots at the
subject.
Capitol Hill. Yeah.
And how people, or most of our politicians and big tech, big media have stomped on our First Amendment rights.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of censorship talk.
And we felt, or at least I felt it was important to talk about that. I mean, as you know, we're a Second Amendment channel, but without the First Amendment, you don't have a Second Amendment. Without the Second Amendment, you don't have a First Amendment. So I thought they tied in well together. And talking about what happened over the last week, what's to come over this week, as you know, Joe Biden's inauguration. I mean, it's still going to happen, but it's kind of basically been canceled. There's 25,000 National Guard troops in the Capitol.
Yeah.
There's actually National Guardmen sleeping inside the Capitol for the first time since, I believe, World War I. So that was pretty big. I'm sure that a lot of people have seen the videos coming out of Capitol Hill with the riots January 6th when Donald Trump was speaking in front of the Washington Monument. You know, you had 100,000 people there. Big rally, big crowds. Afterwards, as we all know, January 6th is when Congress enables the constitutional rights of enabling the president, you know, with the electoral votes. As they were doing that, not a lot of the Trump supporters, some, I would say, what did you guys say, probably like 10%, not even 5%.
Did you know that actually there was like 3 people that died?
Yes.
Yeah.
And one cop
was a cop.
One cop sadly committed
I
suicide.
was an Air
afterwards.
Force veteran too.
Yeah, a woman got shot. So like 5 to 10% of Trump, and we're not even sure they're Trump supporters. There was reports today that there was some left wingers and there was right wingers and there was maybe some.
I definitely agree and definitely think that it was
Set up.
somewhat set up.
Yeah.
I think there was definitely some planning.
Like an inside job. I've heard some of the
by the left, by the way.
Right. You've seen some cops waving people through. The protection was awful. You know, we've seen big riots even over the summer. They usually hold a line. This time, cops were just bum rushing out of the way.
Yeah. They were letting anybody.
They were letting people. They were opening the gates and actually doing this.
Yeah, they were waving people on. People were tearing down fences, using the fencing to break down the mahogany doors.
They were in people's offices and everything.
There was a gentleman who took we'll call it a Cleveland steamer in Adam Schiff's dresser drawer. Somebody stole Nancy Pelosi's podium. Somebody stole Nancy.
Didn't they do it on somebody's desk?
Yeah, they took a dump on somebody's desk. They stole Nancy Pelosi's laptop and podium. Just all kinds of madness, craziness. You've seen people break out Capitol Hill windows. There was guns drawn on the House floor for the first time that anybody's ever seen.
Making history.
Yeah. Even
no.
besides the burning of the Capitol.
There was actually a shooting in the Capitol.
Oh, I think about 2010, there was a woman who tried to bum rush in through her car.
So,
Like they were on a high-speed chase and she ran into the Capitol and then they put her down. But this was something totally different. There was probably 15 to 20 Capitol Hill police officers with their guns drawn on the House floor. House of Representatives were in session. You had congressmen and women fleeing for their lives. Some were, it's kind of ironic. It was kind of ironic that a lot of these congressmen and women don't want to enable Second Amendment rights.
they're hiding like little pansies. These people send our sons, brothers, sisters, daughters, mothers, fathers. They send them all to war over pointless stuff, and here they are hiding behind walls, scared for their lives.
There were jokes being made. There was a report of jokes being made that somebody said whoever wanted to fund the police could step outside, and those who supported the police could stay inside. Yeah. Because we've seen a complete shift. People were actually praying. There's a lot of congressmen and women on Capitol Hill are known to be anti-religious. They weren't anti-religious that day. I've seen people hold their cross and their bead and pray. They were all for law enforcement, as we've seen 6 months ago, that they could care less about buildings being burnt down in Seattle and Portland and Minnesota. Yet, when it came to their doorstep, they were really quick to act in. They wanted law enforcement.
I seen a great meme that said, "Government doesn't want you to have guns. Also, government." And it showed the Capitol Hill police officer pulling a gun on somebody in the Senate floor.
They don't want the police's help until they need it.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, and you just see all the things that's happened afterwards. Sadly, as Dylan said, a woman lost her life. A cop got basically beaten to death with a fire extinguisher. Another cop blew his brains out. Suicide. Yeah. They were beating him with American flags. That's just You know, we talk about
That's
American.
not American.
We talk about American things. There's nothing more un-American than beating a law enforcement with an American flag.
No.
Like literally, they were throwing them like javelins, and I think one of them hit an officer like in the chest. You know, there was probably 60 to 70 officers injured that day. Bloodshed on the House floor for the first time since 1776 when the British burned the Capitol to the ground. And then the fallout from that. You know, we've seen the impeachment of Donald Trump. Kind of. Just a political move. We've seen Donald Trump being banned on Twitter, Facebook,
and YouTube,
Spotify, Shopify, basically anything that's connected to they did the
any social media.
Guys, if they can do it to the president of the United States, the leader of the free world, they can do it to anybody. And I would, even if it was Joe Biden, and he got banned from social media, you cannot do that.
No.
If it's anybody, there needs to be free speech and free discussion.
Because what happens is when we live in a country where nobody can talk, everybody goes to their echo chambers, they sit around in their circles, and then they draw tribal lines in the ground, and that's when war breaks out. Because if you're not going to let people speak,
and you don't have the right to speak, then
you're not going to let people speak their ideas, and you're not going to let it come into the social arena.
Can we bring in Section 230 real quick?
Yeah.
Because I feel like, you know, Section 230 in the it prevents. What is it?
It prevents big social media platforms to be.
It protects them.
You cannot sue. So like somebody couldn't sue YouTube for this video.
Yeah.
They can't sue YouTube based on the comments that are down below. So if somebody writes something, obviously we check our comments and we would get rid of any comments that were, you know, anything inappropriate or anything like that.
Unnecessary.
But if somebody's seen a comment that they didn't like, they can't go to YouTube's headquarters and say, I'm suing you based on this kind of, you know, whatever, yelling like fire in a movie theater, for example. You cannot sue YouTube for that. But and then if you got rid of Section 230, then what would happen was if you didn't agree with something Twitter or YouTube did, like if they became a publisher, which they're basically doing now, they're selecting the content that can and cannot be on their platforms, you could then sue them based on that content.
People want to bring up the fact that, well, it's a private company. You know what you sign up for whenever you're establishing yourself, you know, making an account with a private company or whatever. But what people don't realize is in today's day and age, everybody's lives in every country revolve around social media. Everybody's lives revolve around Facebook and Twitter.
Yep.
So it's no longer about the fact that it's a private company. The media has control over the government.
It's literally become a part of everybody's lives.
It's their livelihoods.
All day.
It's their jobs. People have careers on there.
They do.
You know?
So I just get sick of people saying, "Oh, it's a private company; they can do what they want."
And
that's not the same.
It's not necessarily private anymore.
Even the private company thing doesn't hold water anymore because examples are Parler, right? They say, "Oh,
yes,
just go build your own." Okay, we go build our own, and they just go and shut that down. So what's the point? What do we got to build our own servers and build our own internet? And because of what happens then is we basically might as well build our own country. Because, you know, there was reports out even after this that banks are no longer supporting conservatives. I see today there was a report that Harvard students are signing petitions to try to remove the degrees of Senator Ted Cruz and Kayleigh McEnany. You know, it's basically come to the point where if you don't agree with the left on anything social, cultural, any kind of ideas, you know, anything like that, you are going to be ousted and you're going to be blocked and you're going to be censored. And what's going to happen is, and it's sad,
we've experienced it firsthand, man.
We shadow bans, not being able to run ads. They don't want us to show you what we talk about. It's not like we don't support violence. We don't support people trying to kill other people, but you should be allowed to share your ideas and your values. The First and Second Amendment are honored by the Constitution. Our forefathers fought for those. They died for those. People have spent the last 246 years taking that for granted, and all of a sudden now you're going to roll through and try to get rid of certain things.
They just want to change shit around.
You can't do that.
You can't.
We fought a revolutionary
we fought wars.
They don't make a constitution for no reason.
And that's just what it is. You know, you had for 6 months, you know, Black Lives Matter and Antifa running around, burning down cities, killing people. The cop from Minnesota lost his life trying to protect a pawn shop in Minneapolis. I didn't hear one Democratic leader come out and say anything about how we should honor, you know, the livelihood of that man. But when it's them in their capital and their lives are in danger, we have to
that we pay for.
Yeah,
the taxpayers.
We pay
for that building. That's our building.
We have to protect. We have to impeach the president. We have to cut everybody off. We have to silence everybody. We just want fair standards. If you want to do that on the right, then do it on the left. Antifa should not be on Facebook. They should not be on Twitter. They should not be on YouTube. I don't know how many times I see BLM, Black Lives Matter. They have it on everywhere. They're on 2K. They're on TV. They're on video games.
But God forbid you want to talk about the Constitution and you're banned off of everything.
Right. You know, these people are actually marching in the streets to kill people. It's fine if you want to march in the streets to peacefully protest. If you feel like your rights have been violated, go right ahead.
We're just trying to be peaceful about it.
Right. We're trying to say.
I mean,
be free.
I think at one point there's a line that has to be crossed because, you know, I've been seeing a lot of this on Facebook myself, of people talking about how they don't support what happened at the Capitol. And let's be honest here, if it was, a lot of people from the left are saying that this was an insurrection, this was an attempt to overthrow the government. If it was really an attempt to overthrow the government, it was a horrible job. They did a terrible job.
It wasn't an insurrection.
It wasn't organized at all. There was hardly anybody on.
It was just frustration boiling over.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people there that wanted to just go and prove a point. And then what happened was a few bad apples got in there, some from the left. Maybe it was an inside job. We don't know. We're not going to speculate. But it made us look bad. And that was the point. So then they could lump all Republicans. And again, we're not Republican or Democrat. It's just the facts. They wanted to lump all the Republicans together with Donald Trump and say he's a white supremacist and he's a this and he's a that.
It was all just to get Donald Trump impeached.
And
so
it's
they could
just,
try to make him ineligible to run again.
And it's just to get rid of 74 to 120 million Americans. It's not going to happen. Because they want to run their country their way, and they have to get along with the same people. You have to get along with the left, and you have to get along with the right, and that's the problem.
Free
now.
Discussion, man, and respect of everybody's opinion is what matters.
And that's what you're seeing now. You're seeing the tension in the streets.
That's a good thing about the old America. You know, you could disagree with somebody and have a conversation and not agree with them, but still be friends.
But what has happened over the last 20 years is people that go to those high-profile college towns. They are pampered, and they are told that their opinion is the only one in the room that matters.
If you disagree with anyone in 2020 and 21, you might as well forget it.
Because they're going to try to.
That's why the country's so divided, man. And
they don't want to.
I mean, Democrats and Republicans right now just want to kill each other.
It's just like you go out in public, right, and you meet somebody that you don't know. You're afraid to even say anything to them.
Yeah.
You don't know what they do.
Or you're afraid to. I mean, if you're a Trump supporter or whatever, and you wear something that says Trump on it,
they'll kill you.
They're going to attack you.
Somebody's going to.
That's usually what happens.
That man was shot in Portland in the street just for having a Donald Trump hat. A guy rolled up.
Yeah.
A guy rolled up in Portland. I didn't hear one Democrat come out and say, you know, that.
He wasn't doing anything, man. Wasn't he homeless?
I don't know.
I read where there was a guy that was a homeless guy, and he was a black guy, and he had he was making signs because he supported Donald Trump out of cardboard, like putting them up. Hey, he's Trump 2020, and some dude walked up to this guy, homeless guy, pulled a gun out and blew his brains out right there.
You have people
just for that.
I do know you have people like
how sad.
The other day you heard people like Maxine Waters, Democrat from California, who was on the House floor talking about unity. Yes, later than 6 months ago, like last 6 months, she was in the streets of California telling people to get in the face of Donald Trump supporters,
spit in their face,
follow them to gas stations and grocery stores and get in their face. And you've seen it with Mitch McConnell and all the Republicans, where they would go to the restaurants and the hotels, surround them and threaten them.
But I always see videos of the left, Democrats, liberals.
But that's okay. The left can surround. They can surround Republicans and threaten their lives. That's perfectly okay. Yeah. But the right has I'd say a misstep or a miscue, and immediately we have to ban all of the people on the right. You have to get rid of the president. You have to lump his supporters in with them, and a lot of Trump supporters didn't agree with that.
Whether or not anybody agrees with what happened in the Capitol, I don't know if these guys do.
No,
or not.
I don't.
I don't either.
I don't agree with how they went about it.
Okay, to an extent.
Yeah,
I guess you could say.
Let me elaborate on what I was.
The protest was fine. The going into the Capitol was the bad part.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is I think there's going to be a point in the future where there's a line that's going to be drawn, and they're going to say it's going to get to the point where the left is just going to try to push their agenda so much they want to get rid of everything constitutional, everything about conservatives, and the only possible way to ever get your country back is having some sort of armed insurrection or revolution like what we did in 1776 against the British, because nowadays we can't even fight in court because the courts are corrupt. You're supposed to fight legal battles out in court whether or not you disagree with something, and they'll decide that it's constitutional or not. Well, now the courts are corrupt, so how are we supposed to go about anything legally? I think it's going to get to the point where something really bad is going to happen. I'm not, for my own safety and everybody else's, I'm not going to say whether or not I support that or not. I'm just saying that I think it's going to happen. Maybe it's necessary. I don't know. I don't want to see it happen because it would be the downfall of the United States of America. But something's going to have to be done because this cannot continue, man. It's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, this country's going.
Everybody, gun owners are being criminalized.
We're looked at as the bad people. There's people out there that make us look. There's the wrong owners and then there's the good gun owners.
As Hillary Clinton once said, we're the deplorables of the world.
Yep.
And we're not even, like I said, we're not for the left or for the right, but they just immediately paint you. If you have any kind
We
of...
don't speak for everyone else, though. That's
right,
us.
Right, yeah. That's just, if you own a gun or if you speak your mind, you're immediately put into that category. And it's just...
But as he said, either in the previous video or earlier today, in this video, we're more towards the right side of it.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Die hard. We're not, we listen to people's opinions, and you should.
We're not categorized as
Republicans or
Republicans.
Right.
But that's pretty much it. I mean, there's been so much news and stuff going on over the past couple
Few
weeks.
weeks, yeah.
It's
crazy.
Next week's gonna be a shit show.
I'm sure we'll be back next
When you
week.
have 25,000, 30,000 armed guards protecting your inauguration,
There's something going
There'll be
on.
more guards there.
you weren't elected by the people, sadly. But we'll see if we can prevail and try to make with what we've got coming. I think if the founding fathers were here today,
They
probably
shake their
say
heads.
that we deserve every bit of what we get.
They're
'cause
rolling
we had
over
it
in their
far
graves
back.
right now.
They'd be trying to find a new place to settle.
Yeah. So make sure you guys join the Firearms Policy Coalition.
Same with the Gun Owners of America.
Links will be in the description. As always, please like and share this video with your friends. As always, keep your rifles by your side.
And carry on.
Thanks for watching.
They'll come loud and they'll come fast.
But we shoot first and we can last. Keep your rifle by your side. Singing.